Guys, I wanted to talk to you about a couple things, and I'm not calling anyone out with this, by the way, so I'm not going to mention any names. But I've been watching a video the other day, and I kind of watched this person's channel off and on. It's none of you. It's none of you. And this person did this thing again, and I don't know their personal relationship with Loki, but they're always calling Loki a slut or calling him a whore, and I apologize for the use of those words, but they use them, not me. And I finally had enough of it because they did this video on Freyr and Freyr, and it turned out they had never even worked with them. They just compiled the data, which, if people ask me for stuff I don't know about, I'm like, go read a book. It's what the library is there for. And then they start giving their opinion that you should never have Loki work with all these other gods because all these other gods hate Loki and don't. And I'm like, really? You people are doing watered down voodoo for one. And two, you've never worked with these gods, so how would you know? There can be kind of like, you can get kind of seduced into thinking because you run a YouTube channel or whatever, you know everything there is to know about the gods. And I can only tell you from personal experience, like, Loki's the one that brought Freyr in. Loki's the one that brought Freya in. And he was the one that was like, you need to work with both of them. And they treat him very well, and he treats them very well. And the person had been saying this stuff about Loki, and finally they said, call Loki, a hoe again. And I finally lost it, and I was cursing at the screen, and Loki's like, aw. Because I said, I apologize, Loki. I know that person has their personal relationship with you, presumably. But I said, I don't disrespect my gods that way. I don't believe in slut-shaming anyone. I don't care how many partners you have or anything else. And I don't believe in doing it to people. I'm certainly not going to do it to a god. And these are the kind of people that tell you, I'm just being funny, where they're actually being kind of mean. And I was like, that's not cool. So there's another person I won't be watching anymore. Because it's like, I try to watch stuff with people that you don't have to match my values, but you at least have to not be outright mean. And I'm like, that's outright mean because, if you're slut-shaming Loki, then you're probably going to slut-shame me for being Strega. And what are you doing working with or looking up Freyr and Freya anyways? Do you not know what they do? Do you not know what one of their specialties is? And that brings up another point. As I was researching Freyr, someone who has him as a patron justifiably said, they were a little sick and tired of not serving Freyr himself, but everybody's assumption that all Freyr, but would apply to Freyr too, is good for is one thing. And you get that a lot with Loki too, and it kind of makes me mad too, because it's like, if that's all you think a god is good for, then why are you running around telling everyone that you two are like this, but then you're calling the god like a slut or a whore or whatever? And it wears thin really fast. It's not funny. It's mean-spirited. That one group that was in for a nanosecond, they treated Loki like that. They're like, oh, he's just stumbling drunk and he's like a whore and everything. And I'm sorry for using these words. I feel bad because he knows I would never call him that. I love him to bits. I'm like, did you people never learn what fertility gods do? Did you never learn what gods that control passion and desire do? It's the, I don't even want to call it Christian mindset, because some of these people claim they were never Christian. But it's a very narrow-minded Puritan mindset. We can call it Puritan because that's how they were. And you're shaming a god for being what they naturally are. That is a natural energy they are. That is a natural thing that they rule over. Shaming a god for their sexuality is, it makes no more sense than shaming a god that rules over farming or oceans or whatever. So I figured I would get that out there, and I don't want to make it the day that I was mad, because I'm like, if I make it the day I'm mad, there's going to be a lot of words in here you don't want to hear. And the thing was, too, it applied because as I did more research around Freyr, there's they're the people that make up stories about Freyr so they can work with him and feel better, but then they're the people that did their research, and he is a patron of LGBT community because, according to more than one source, his priests, and perhaps Ray's priests as well, were homosexual, and they were effeminate, and they wore bells and stuff like that, and that was very unmanly, and how dare they. But that is how they interacted with their people, and I think Freyr had been like holding his breath until I found out, because there's this kind of movement within paganism, and you all know what I mean, that we're trying to like clean up and sanitize our gods worse than the Christians ever did. And, you know, suddenly the gay gods are no longer gay, or they were just gay for pretend, or it's symbolism or something. It's like, no, he likes boys, big deal. I like boys. I like girls. I like everybody. And it's like, I don't care who he likes. He's a god. That's his business who he's with. It's Loki's business who he's with. It's Ray's business who she's with. And if I'd ever found out that they hadn't got along or something, I would have told you guys. I'd have been like, oh my god, don't put them in the same room. Everybody in this house is really relaxed and really chill and shares everything. And they're not really big on being in combat with each other. If they were, I would tell you. I think some people get it into their headspace that, you know, they know everything there is to know about the gods, period. It's like, no. And I'm not, didn't make the video to bash a person, but I definitely won't be watching them, because it wasn't just one video. It is over time, you kind of get a feeling for what people like and what they don't like. You'll sort of spot a thread, and maybe they don't even see it. Maybe this person doesn't even see it, but they were intolerant towards sexuality. They probably are homophobic. I'm like kind of getting that vibe, because they never talk about Loki being gay, and that's like a huge part of like what other people talk about like the queer experience. And it's just, you know, they can be them and I'll be me, but I wouldn't feel right if I didn't tell you, hey, just because a book or a site or I or anyone else tells you something, find out for yourself. Don't just go buy a book of some probably put together lazy research and say this book is the word of God. That's not a religion. That's not what we do. Find out for yourself. Find out if your gods like each other. Find out if they're going to get along well. Sometimes as you have new ones come in, there might be like a tiny little scuffle as the new ones try to see if the old ones are really taking care of you. And the old ones are trying to see if this new punk is here just for like a free meal and whatever, and are they going to stay the distance and take care of you, because they all love you and they're all trying to protect you and look out for your best interest. So that's the only time I've seen like feathers ruffle, because you know, maybe this one thinks that one doesn't maybe have your best interest in, because they've never actually been traditionally put together or whatnot. And luckily around here, little Regina just she gets command and everybody calms down pretty quickly. But yeah, for my 2 cents, Loki works well with everyone. He's the extroverted people person. I'm the introvert that's like, I don't need any more gods, Loki. Stop bringing them in. And he's like, no, you need these gods. And I think he brought Freyr in because Freyr is connected to the LGBT community, which I did not know. And Freya as well. And it doesn't matter if they were connected to them back then, and they're connected to them now. And yeah, I figured I would touch on that, because you're seeing, and that worries me, you're seeing, as a gay person, it worries me, you're seeing a lot of whitewashing, or straight washing, I suppose, of our religion, where pagans are actually shocked when they learn that, like, Zeus and everyone else and had gay lovers and had men and women as lovers, and it actually was not a big thing in the ancient days. In the ancient days, as long as you could still produce babies, it was fine. And remember, it was done more for a practical reason. You needed babies to work the farm. You needed babies to fight in an army. You needed babies to take care of you when you got old, because there was no old age home, and the community wasn't going to take care of you, perhaps. You needed your children around to take care of you. It was a practical thing. It didn't mean people loved their children any less, but it was a practical thing. Gay or not, you were going to have offspring so that you had that insurance to help you, and you could have people work around the farm that. Now, maybe there were totally gay people that never had children, but we don't know. They're lost to history. It's not like everybody wrote down their history and like they all had ancient Facebook accounts and we can look it up. So yeah, I just figured I would get that out there because I personally don't care what this person thinks of Loki, but I won't sit there and be like, if people start to besmirch a god for the god's natural attributes. I mean, if you don't like a god's attributes that much, you shouldn't be working with that god. I don't care how persistent they are or what have you. If you truly find that repulsive or distasteful, or you think you can sit there in judgment of them, that's not the god for you to work with. If you don't like sexuality, Loki's probably not the god for you. Same for Freya. Same for a lot of the gods. A lot of the old gods are potent and fertile. There are very few I can think of that were totally sexless. I'm trying to think of, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of too many that were chaste unless you want to go work with Jehovah. But, that's your call as well. I'm not sitting here to tell you how to be a pagan, but at the same time, if you're going to work with a god known for fertility, you don't have to, or sexuality or what have you, you don't have to work with that aspect. You don't, but you do have to show a modicum of respect. Okay, so if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.